What if death was not the end, but the most dangerous journey you would ever take? In ancient Egypt, dying was only the beginning. Your soul would face judgment. Your heart would be weighed against truth itself. Monsters waited in the shadows. Gods watched every step. One mistake, and your soul would be erased forever. Tonight, let me tell you what really happens after death in Egyptian mythology. A journey far more complex, terrifying, and fascinating than heaven or hell. Death in ancient Egypt was never considered an ending. It was the beginning of the most important journey a human soul would ever take. The Egyptians did not fear death itself. They feared something far worse, non-existence. They believed the universe was governed by Ma'at, the eternal law of balance, truth, and order. Everything that lived had to exist in harmony with it. And when a person died, their soul would be tested to see if they truly belonged in the cosmic order. Only those who lived in balance could continue to exist beyond death. To the ancient Egyptians, the soul was not a single entity. It was divided into multiple parts, each with its own purpose. The Ka was the life force, still hungry after death, still needing food and offerings. The Ba was the personality, the unique identity of the individual able to move freely between worlds. The Ak was the transformed, enlightened spirit, but only achieved after judgment. And above all, there was the heart. The heart contained memory, intention, morality, and truth. It remembered every action, every thought, every secret. This is why the brain was discarded during mummification, but the heart was preserved. The heart would be needed again. Death required careful preparation. The body was washed, purified, and preserved through mummification. This was not done to honor the dead, it was done to protect the soul. The physical body served as an anchor. Without it, the Ka would weaken. The Ba would lose its place to return. Tombs were filled with food, tools, statues, and writings not as symbols, but as practical necessities for the afterlife. To die unprepared was to begin eternity defenseless. After burial, the soul entered the Duat, the Egyptian underworld. The Duat was not a single place. It was a vast, shifting realm of darkness, fire, water, and shadow. Each night, even the sun god had to pass through it, battling chaos to rise again at dawn. For ordinary souls, the Duat was a dangerous passage filled with gates, guardians, and hidden threats. Every gate required knowledge, names, spells, and correct words. Without them, the soul would be trapped forever. This is why Egyptian tombs were filled with texts. Spells, prayers, and instructions were written on walls, coffins, and papyrus. They were not decorations. They were weapons. Knowledge allowed the dead to speak to gatekeepers, silence monsters, and continue forward. In the afterlife, ignorance was deadly. At the end of the journey through the Duat, the soul arrived at the Hall of Two Truths. This was the place of judgment. At its center stood a great scale. On one side lay the feather of Ma'at, symbol of truth and balance. On the other side rested the heart of the dead. The gods gathered silently. Anubis adjusted the scale. Thoth prepared to record the result. And nearby waited something far worse than judgment. Beside the scale sat Ammit, part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus. Ammit was not a demon of torture. She was the end. If the heart was heavier than the feather burdened by lies, cruelty, and chaos, Ammit would devour it. The soul would not suffer. It would simply cease to exist. For the Egyptians, this was the ultimate punishment. Before the scale moved, the soul was allowed to speak. This was the negative confession. The dead did not ask for forgiveness. They declared innocence. I have not stolen. I have not murdered. I have not betrayed trust. I have not disturbed the balance of the world. Truth, not perfection, was what mattered. Silence filled the hall. The scale moved. If the heart balanced perfectly with the feather, the soul was declared true of voice. Balance was everything. Too heavy, and the soul was destroyed. Too light, and it lacked substance. Only balance allowed continuation. Those who passed were led forward to Osiris, Lord of the Dead. Seated on a throne, skin green like rebirth, Osiris judged not as a tyrant, but as one who had died and returned. He granted the soul access to eternity. The worthy entered the field of reeds, a perfect reflection of life in Egypt: fields, rivers, work, family, but without suffering or chaos. Life continued, but in harmony forever. Even in paradise, responsibility did not end. The Ka required offerings. The Ba needed freedom to travel. The name of the dead had to be spoken by the living. To be forgotten was to fade. Memory was immortality. In Egyptian belief, death was not escape. It was continuation of cosmic duty. Every soul either upheld Ma'at or vanished into nothingness. So in ancient Egypt, death was not a door. It was a trial, a journey where knowledge was survival, truth was weight, and eternity was not guaranteed. In the end, the question was never, did you worship the gods? The question was far more terrifying. Did you live in balance with the world? Because when the feather touched the scale, only your heart would speak.